They had it all: the face, the fame, the talent. In a fair world, they'd be remembered for the roles they played, not the rules they broke or were accused of breaking. But old Hollywood wasn't fair. It was a glamorous machine powered by moral panic, gossip columns, racism, and a ruthless obsession with control. One misstep, one affair, one fabricated headline, and you could vanish from the screen overnight. Today, we revisit the lives of stars who weren't taken down by crime or scandal, but by something far more dangerous: nonsense. Petty scandals, media vendettas, public hypocrisy, and studio betrayal torched careers that should have lasted decades. From a silent film comedian accused of a crime he didn't commit, to a Swedish Oscar winner exiled for falling in love, these were people punished not for what they did, but for daring to live outside the narrow lines Hollywood drew. These stories aren't just tragic, they're revealing. They tell us who was considered worthy, who was disposable, and how the cost of honesty, identity, or even just being a woman could be devastating. This is the story of careers that didn't just end, they were sabotaged. And decades later, we're still trying to understand why. Ingrid Bergman, banished for love. She was luminous, an Oscar-winning actress whose performances in Casablanca and Gaslight made her a global icon. Ingrid Bergman wasn't just admired, she was worshipped. Until 1950. That's when Bergman, still married, fell in love with Italian director Roberto Rossellini and became pregnant with his child. The media lost its mind. But worse, the US Senate got involved. Yes, actual politicians denounced her on the Senate floor. Senator Edwin Johnson declared she had perpetrated an assault upon the institution of marriage, calling her a powerful influence for evil. Hollywood, ever spineless, followed suit. Studios blacklisted her. Theater chains refused to show her films. Let's be clear, Bergman wasn't accused of abuse or crime. Her sin? Falling in love with the wrong man at the wrong time, while being a woman in a moralistic industry terrified of female agency. She lived in self-exile for nearly a decade, working abroad. It took until 1956, 6 years later, for Hollywood to pretend to forgive her. She won another Oscar for Anastasia. But the damage was done. Her legacy recovered, but the exile never fully left her. Imagine being publicly destroyed for a personal relationship. Today, no one would blink. Back then, it was enough to end a queen's reign. Fatty Arbuckle, innocent but cancelled forever. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle was the highest-paid star in Hollywood in 1921. A comic genius, a box-office king, and one of the first to make audiences howl with laughter on the silver screen. Then came the Labor Day party. A woman named Virginia Rappy fell ill at a hotel party hosted by Arbuckle. She died days later. Rumors flew. Rape, violence, a ruptured bladder caused by a Coke bottle? The tabloids didn't just run with it, they danced with it. Arbuckle was charged with manslaughter. He endured 3 trials, 2 hung juries, and finally, an acquittal. The jury even issued an apology, stating a great injustice has been done. But it didn't matter. The damage was irreversible. Newspapers declared him a symbol of Hollywood's depravity. His films were banned. His name was erased. The man once considered bigger than Chaplin became untouchable. Hollywood had found a scapegoat. Arbuckle, though proven innocent, was sacrificed to satisfy the public's bloodlust for morality. It didn't matter what the court said. The headlines had already convicted him. He tried to return under a pseudonym, but the doors never fully reopened. Arbuckle died at 46, just after signing a new contract, his first big chance in years. His career was ended by a lie. His life was shortened by the fallout. His only crime? Trusting a system that would never defend him. Barbara Payton, destroyed by the tabloids. Barbara Payton had it all: platinum blonde, bombshell beauty, a Warner Brothers contract, and a spark that made the screen pop. Her breakout role in Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye suggested she was on the brink of major stardom. But she never got the chance. In the early 1950s, Payton became infamous for a love triangle involving actor Francho Tone and rugged star Tom Neal. It turned violent. Neal beat Tone into a coma. The tabloids had a field day. Payton became the punchline. Instead of blaming the man who committed assault, the press crucified her. They called her a man-eater, fallen woman. And Hollywood's shame. Studios dropped her. Scripts vanished. She was unofficially blacklisted for daring to have a messy personal life. She spiraled. Alcohol, arrests, failed marriages. By the 1960s, she was destitute, prostituting herself to survive. A journalist who found her in Hollywood's seedy underbelly described her as the ghost of a movie star. Payton died in 1967 at just 39. The industry that once praised her beauty now only remembered her as a cautionary tale. What ruined her wasn't scandal. It was the punishment for the scandal. Today, that kind of tabloid frenzy would blow over in a week. For Payton, it lasted forever. Dorothy Dandridge, punished for being first. Dorothy Dandridge broke barriers. The first black woman nominated for a Best Actress Oscar for Carmen Jones. She was poised to become a legend. Hollywood had other plans. Even after her historic nomination, roles for black actresses remained scarce. Studios offered her maids and minor characters. She refused. And then came the scandals. She had relationships with white men, including director Otto Preminger. In 1950s America, that was enough to ruin a black woman. Gossip rags framed her as inappropriate, uppity, even dangerous. No studio would touch her after that. The public wouldn't accept a black woman as a romantic lead. The industry wouldn't protect her. Dandridge, boxed in by racism and sexism, couldn't build the career her talent deserved. She tried nightclub singing, took roles abroad, but the offers grew fewer. Her financial troubles mounted. In 1965, she was found dead of a drug overdose. She was just 42. Her legacy has since been reclaimed. But in her lifetime, Dorothy Dandridge was punished not for failure, but for being too successful while black, and for daring to love freely in a world built on segregation. Clara Bow, the it girl chewed up by gossip. Clara Bow was the 1920s, the original it girl. She embodied flapper glamour, sexual freedom, and box office gold. At her peak, she received 45,000 fan letters a month. But behind the fame was fear. The studios hated that she didn't fit their mold. Working class, blunt, unpolished. The press weaponized it. As sound films arrived, Bow became a target. Accusations of drug use, orgies, bestiality, none of it proven, flooded the tabloids. One of her maids even sold fake stories to the press. The public believed them. The studios didn't defend her. They let her fall. Mental health issues followed. After a breakdown in the early 30s, Bow left acting at 28. She tried to return, briefly, but the industry had moved on. She spent the rest of her life in isolation, diagnosed with schizophrenia, suffering silently. She died in 1965 at 60, forgotten by many. Her downfall wasn't about talent. It was about image. Bow was too free, too outspoken, too real for a system built on illusion. And it destroyed her. Why did this keep happening? Because old Hollywood didn't sell people, it sold perfection. The studios crafted myths and demanded their stars live by them, or else. Female sexuality, political defiance, interracial romance, even class, were threats. The moment a star deviated from their assigned role, they became expendable. Ingrid Bergman was exiled for having a child out of wedlock. Fatty Arbuckle was erased despite legal innocence. Barbara Payton was punished for being public and imperfect. Dorothy Dandridge was sidelined for being black and bold. Jean Seberg was crushed for her politics. Clara silenced for daring to be herself. This wasn't just about scandal, it was about control. The studio system, the press, and the government aligned to keep order. And when stars stepped out of line, the punishment was swift, often irreversible. And the public? Complicit. They devoured gossip, believed lies, judged without facts. The moral code of the time, both unwritten and enforced, wasn't moral at all. It was a weapon. It protected the powerful and scapegoated the vulnerable. Would these careers be destroyed today? Some, maybe not. In an age of social media, apologies, comebacks, and public nuance, many of these offenses seem laughably tame. But in many ways, we still cancel people for the wrong reasons, just faster now. Old Hollywood punished the human behind the icon. And that's what made it so tragic. In remembering their stories, we're not just looking backward. We're asking who still gets thrown away for stepping outside the lines. Hollywood promised escape, but for these 6, it became a trap. Their crimes? Being human in a system that only sold illusions. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more untold stories from Hollywood's hidden past.